Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the GTO again. A lot of front suspension bushing parts I've been wanting to replace. And the car looks a little different. The last time you guys saw it, it was spice red, and since then I decided to wrap it. I got some satin white vinyl wrap, and I've always wanted a white GTO, and this is what it looks like right now. First attempt, not terrible. It's definitely what's the phrase? A 20 by 20 or 20 at 20. So it looks really good. 20 feet away at about 20 miles an hour. But yeah, I didn't think it turned out too bad. There's a lot of spots if I wanted to nitpick it, but other than that, I think it turned out pretty good. I like the stripe and how it comes down, and the satin black top, and had to plastic dip the mirrors. The vinyl wouldn't stick to that at all, but another story for another time. Today, what we are going to be replacing is the lower control arm inner bushings, so the ones that are more towards the inside of the car, like the engine. We're going to be replacing the radius rod bushings that go into lower control arms, and the radius rod bushings that connect to the frame or the engine cradle up front. I got an entire kit from Whiteline, which I will go back here and show you. Pardon the terribly messy garage, but I will leave links in the description below, but this is some of the instructions to go along with this. If you are unaware, this is a VZ model. GTOs or VZs, Hold Monaro, whatever, right? But GTOs or VZs. This is the radius rod to chassis instructions, and this one actually comes with a bunch of different washers, so you can adjust your caster. From the factory, do not believe these are adjustable. They come with washers, but Whiteline makes a really good kit. Get a lot of extra washers, different thicknesses, which allows you to change your caster angle. So one of the bushings, this is the caster to chassis bushing, but this is what this guy looks like. Very good quality. I like it so far. It comes with a lot of grease, high performance bushing lubricant to put it all together. Brand new everything, obviously, right? The inside of these bushings, see if I can get that to focus, are also knurled. They have kind of a groove to them, which I like a lot. Very nice quality. Very happy with this. I have Whiteline upper strut bushings right now. Again, very happy. Kit was reasonably priced. I will say, if you want to get anything for your GTO, I would highly recommend contacting Andrew Kollar. He runs Kollar Racing products. Normally, whatever you want, go onto his website, find something you want, and then shoot him an email or a text message or a PM on Facebook. He typically responds very fast. Normally has deals. Anything that I've gotten in the last little bit, I've emailed Andrew, and he's like, yeah, sure, I can hook you up. So highly recommend, if you guys want anything, head over to there. I'll leave a link in the description as well. But let's get started. So first, I will leave a link in the description, but when you're jacking up your car, please be sure to find good jack points, okay? As stated in previous videos, I have BMR lateral bars that run down the entire length. They're welded in. Makes it very easy to lift up the car, but there are specific points, front and rear, to jack the vehicles up. Please be sure you're using your proper jack points. You have proper equipment, your jack stands. Be sure that all that is in the correct place, because we're going to be doing some stuff under the car. If your car's older, might have some stuck bolts and whatnot, need to hit it out, use a hammer, wiggle it, what have you. Always a chance for the car to fall on you, and these things are like boats. They are very heavy. They will hurt you. So please be sure you have the correct mounting points or the jack points for your vehicle, and like I said, link will be in the description. So let's get her lifted up and started. All right, so once you have the car jacked up and on your jack stands, we are going to locate a few things. This is all part of the kit that I will be including down below, or I will leave links to the separate bushings that I have replaced in this video. So the first one's going to be this up here. This is your radius rod. Okay, so your radius rod goes all the way back and attaches back here to your lower control arm. These bushings, from what I know or what I've read, these are just like the engine mounts and your transmission mounts. They are fluid filled. They will collapse over time. This car has a little over 100,000 miles on it. I just think it's time to replace these. The car actually was making kind of a clunking noise coming from the front end, and it said that 9 times out of 10, your radius rod bushings are going to be your culprit. So front of the radius rod to chassis, that's that bushing right here. I'll get a better video when I get under there, but we're going to locate this one. We're also going to be changing the bushing that runs through here. This right here is the radius rod that connects to your, where it connects, sorry, the radius rod, if I can get this to focus, the radius rod that connects to your lower control arms right here, and then your control arm runs back here, and right back there, in here, this is your engine cradle. In here is the other bushing that I'm going to be replacing. Like I said, this is all part of the kit that is offered by Whiteline. Really good kit. Also, before we get too deep into this, if you are newly starting out, if you don't have a lot of tools, this is a very easy job, but you do need a couple weird kind of sizes. The bushing bolt that runs through, of course I don't have any light, one second. This bolt right here, or I guess the nut right here, this is a 30 millimeter. It's a weird kind of size. So this is a 30. Back here at the lower control arm, I believe they are 16s, I want to say. The bolt is a 16, the nut is a 17. Up front here, I get on the ground. Up front here, you have 4 13s, and this big one, the big one right here in the front, is a 24. All right, so I have this 30 mil nut removed right here. It does have a washer on the back side, and always remember, or try to remember, the orientation of which you took stuff off. So this washer, I know they're supposed to be flat, but I can see an impression from the bushing on the back side of it, so I know it went this way over this nut. So we're gonna put those together, and then I've taken the 4 nuts off of this. There is one back here. See if I can get you a better look at that one right there. I did have to use a ratcheting wrench. These things are awesome. Let's see if I can grab this. These things are awesome. We need to get into a tight space, and trying to take it off and back on and back off and back on. With a normal one really sucks, but these ratcheting ones really come in handy. So I've also taken the 24 mil nut off of this, and you should notice a giant washer. Go ahead and remove that washer, and be careful if you have, I have a manual, 2006. You have some lines right here. If you have an automatic, you'll have more lines. I don't know if they're necessarily in the way, but I know you do have some lines right here, so just be careful. But this should now slide right off, and of course it's not going to, because these lines are in the way. So, but this will come right off. If it's the first time removing these, they might be a little hard. Just put you a little flathead screwdriver in here, or a big flathead screwdriver, I should say, and just gently pry until you feel it pop. I'm going to get this maneuvered around these lines. I'm going to need two hands, and then your radius rod, this rod that goes all the way back here, is now loose. It will just slide right out as well. So let's go ahead and remove the radius rod, remove this bushing, and then the bushing in your lower control arm should stay in here, but you also have a washer on the back side. So let me go ahead and get this all out, and I will show you what that looks like. All right, so now this is out. What I had to do was grab the radius rod and kind of pull it back and forth and it came out of the lower control arm here, and this is the bushing we're going to be replacing. And then this was able to be moved out of the way of the lines in order to get this out without damaging anything. So you should have a pretty big hole right here in the front of your engine cradle, and then, like I said, the radius rod bushing comes back here to your lower control arm, and it'll slide right out. So now we need to get this bolt out right here. There's a nut on the back side, just enough room to slide. I would recommend having two wrenches or 2 ratchets, and a 17 on the back, a 16 on the bolt side, a 17 on the nut side. And then I just remembered that the top of your lower control arm ball joint, this nut right here, this is a 22. I recommend a wrench for this, not necessarily a ratchet. It's hard to get in between this space, but a 22-inch wrench is what you're going to also need for this guy. So let me get this nut removed, and let me get this bolt removed, and we will go from there. Okay, so I misspoke. This bolt and nut combo on the back side or the inner part of your lower control arm, these are 19 millimeters. One of the bonuses of working on a car that's this old, quote unquote, you know, I guess 2006, pretty old now. You never know what you're gonna find. I'd assume somebody changed those for some reason. Not 100% sure why, but they were a 16 and a 17. Factory, it looks like these are factory. I would assume beefier ones would be the factory ones. These are both 19s. It's a 19 mil nut and a 19 mil bolt over here. But moving on, this is the lower control arm, right? So this is the lower control arm, and it goes into your Lord, I can't think right now. Anyway, it goes into this. So you have your ABS sensor right here. We're gonna have to remove this. So I have a little pick. You just need to pick up on this back end right here and push as you do. I'm gonna try to do this one-handed. Okay, that'll pop right out. And then just go ahead and pull it up out of your way. I like to tuck it behind this. And the reason we're doing that is because you have to get this nut off, and this nut is a 22 mil, and you want all the leverage you can get. If you break that, not gonna be a good time. Just easier, takes 5 seconds, pull it out of the way, and that way you have all the room to get this off. So let's go ahead and get this off, and then we will be ready to remove the entire lower control arm completely and start replacing our bushings. I had a problem getting this out. So this is the passenger side. So this goes into the engine cradle. This is where the radius rod bushing comes in, and this is the ball joint for the knuckle assembly where your wheel and stuff goes. So if you get these two out, this will hang freely. You can wiggle your brakes, your rotors and stuff to get this end out. And then all I did was, you want to be sure to put your nut back on top of this so it doesn't just fall out and hit you or whatever. But let this hang, and then I have a dead blow hammer. Be sure you're using a dead blow or a brass hammer. You don't want to be using something that has a steel or iron head hammer or a little sledgehammer or whatever. You want to be using a dead blow or a brass hammer to not kind of mar anything up. But I just gave it a few hefty taps right here, and this popped right out. You undo the nut, and it all comes out like this. So now the fun part, you have to get these bushings out. So Whiteline does sell a little tool, and essentially all it is it's a very long bolt, washer, nut, everything on the other side, and you essentially just run it down, and then it pulls it through. The unfortunate thing is you have to have something powerful enough to pull it through. If you don't, it's not going to do any good. You can do it by hand. It'll take forever. The easiest way I've found to get these out, this one kind of pressed out. I was able to knock this out with, I believe it was this one. Let's see here. This is an 11 mil. So an 11 mil fits on there pretty nice. Grab this one real quick. This one's a 10 mil. But you want something that's going to fit on here. You're going to want to knock the bushing out of the center and then just use a flathead screwdriver to pry it out. Same with this. There is, not on your outside bushing, this is your radius rod bushing, but on your bushing that goes through the engine cradle, there's a metal sleeve. You also have to remove that metal sleeve. Now, all I did was I happen to have a body saw from Harbor Freight. I think they're like $15. It's this guy right here. Super easy to use, plug it in. And all I did was kind of notch, after I got the bushing out, just notched the metal casing and then just knocked it through and down. But you're going to want to remove this bushing and the metal casing around the outside of it, as well as this bushing. And once I have both of these removed, I will be back and show you how to clean everything up and reassemble. All right, just to show you guys here, I have removed the inner sleeve, I guess, with this 11 mil. So I just put it on there, hit it with a hammer. This time I did use an actual hammer. So I had this hammer right here, just a little guy, 16-ounce guy, but used that hammer and was able to knock the little sleeve through. And now I happen to have one of these multi-tool things. It just oscillates like an oscillating tool back and forth. And I was able to cut the top of the bushing off. And now, so this is the top of the bushing. This was just right there. So now I'm able to take a, let's see what this is. Oh, upside down. So this is an 11, or I'm sorry, an inch and a 16th. I don't know why that, there it goes. This is an inch and a 16th, and it happens to fit on there pretty good. You don't necessarily need an inch and a 16th. Anything cylinder-like that is able to fit in here that you're going to want to hit through. So we're going to knock the bushing out of the other side. So that's all I'm going to do now. I have this socket. I'm going to put it on top and then use the hammer. Obviously, I can't do this one hand, but just use the hammer and tap it through. Give it a couple good taps, and it should push it right out. And then we're going to switch and do this side. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, so this is the lower control arm. This is the inner bushing. I just was able to get the metal casing in the bushing out of this one. I've also already went ahead and got the bushing out of this one. So now we're going to want to clean these up. A lot of times, I mean, these are older vehicles. They're going to be rusty or dirty or whatever. So you want to clean the inside of this really well. You want to clean your mating surfaces, so this flat spot on either side, and the inside, just like I've done here. So as you can see, I've knocked all the rust down. It's down to a bare surface. You can't really see the inside very good, but the inside is nice and smooth. And what I used is this guy right here. This is called a ball hone. You don't necessarily need this, but I did find it very handy in this situation. You could use a heavier grit sandpaper, somewhere in the 100s or 200 range. You're just trying to get all that nasty stuff out of the holes, but this works really well. And then also I have this 3M pad on the end of my drill. It's just sandpaper and like a Brillo kind of thing in between, just a wheel, but that works really well to get all that surface rust and stuff off. So as you are finished with this, then it is time to install your new bushings, which these are your new bushings. And like I said, if you're just trying to do, this is the lower control arm bushing kit. This specific one, which I will link in the description below, is for your lower control arm inner bushings. This is the one closest to the motor. This is this bushing kit specifically. And if you were unaware, your cars are 2004 to 2006 Pontiac GTOs are a Hold Monaro in Australia, and the submodel is a VZ. So you're going to want to be looking at this one. So you're going to want to find a 5318C bushing and a 5318A bushing. So if you look on the front of these, it does come with both, but this is a 5318A, and then the 5318C bushing. So these two will go together. Then you have your collar that slides in between those, and it'll sandwich it all together in there. And that's what you're going to want to look for. And also, if you look on here, oops, sorry, real close, it says note, step, and eyelet. So it's probably going to be very hard to see, but if you look right here, there's a step. Okay, so right here, there's a ring around this entire thing, and there's a little step right here. So this tells you the orientation. If you happen to forget when you take the lower control arm off of the vehicle, this will help you determine which way your bushings go. Also, if once you get these off and you notice there's some play in here or they are sloppy, this is going to be a good time to go ahead and probably just buy lower control arms. If your vehicle is a daily driver, it sucks, but you really want to just go ahead and buy brand new lower control arms. Whiteline sells them with bushings already installed. So if this is something that you need, I would highly recommend just going and buying Whiteline lower control arms with bushings pre-installed, brand new ball joint, yada yada. Save you a lot of headache and hassle trying to get your old bushings out. But I will try to film installing the bushings, but we are in the home stretch. We have to just install these bushings, throw the lower control arm back together. We're going to put in the front stabilizer bar or radius rod bushing, and I will show you that paperwork here in a second because it does come with extra washers so you can adjust the caster, but I will show you that as soon as I get these bushings installed. All right, so just a real quick to show you how easy this is. You get tons of installation grease. It's just to help the bushing slide into there, but I don't kill it with grease. I don't think it necessarily needs that much. It's just to help it slide around because these are suspension bushings, so they do move around with the vehicle. But I just have a good thin layer on there, and you literally just put it in there and give it a little press, and it's in. So it's just that easy. And now you have this little sleeve, and that is going to go in the center of there, and that is going to help the bolt slide through and everything. And like I said, the inside of the bushings are knurled to help kind of grip your collar here, and that's all there is to it. So just go ahead and install those. Like I said, remember the orientation of how these go. This is stepped, so this is the inner part of the bushing, or the inner part of your lower control arm. They are stepped, so be sure to pay attention to your directions here. It's this side right here. And then this side is pretty similar. When you took this off, so this is where your radius rod came through. The shorter part of the bushing should have been on the back side or facing towards the back of the vehicle. So it'll be this side here. If you have problems or need help trying to remember that, just remember that the notch faces the rear of the vehicle. So whether you have the driver's side or passenger side lower control arm off, the notch right here faces the back of the vehicle. So your shorter bushing is going to be on this side. So let me get these installed, and then I'll go throw it back in the car, and then I can show you how to install this guy. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Like I said, you have directions here, and this will tell you -1/2, -1/4, standard caster settings. You really want to get a good baseline. I'm going to do standard caster settings first, and then I'm going to go get an alignment, and then I'm going to find out if I need to remove the front nut and washers to maybe install more, depending on what kind of caster I'm looking for. I'll leave a link in the description below to Whiteline's preferred settings, I guess. Somebody on the GTO forums said that our factory caster for 04, 06 GTOs is somewhere between -6.5 and -8, I believe. But like I said, I will leave that down in the description below. But I will be starting out at these standard caster settings. So let me get these bushings installed, and I'll take you back under the car. All right, we are in the home stretch. So I have my lower control arm in here, but nothing is installed, or nothing is completely tight. Not this bolt and nut, not even the plate up here, your radius rod bushing up here. None of this is tight. So with suspension, and this is the most important thing when doing any sort of suspension work, you have to have preload or tension on the parts on the suspension before you tighten stuff down. If you do not, let's say that you do not have any sort of tension on this at all, and I'm not saying put it on the ground, but put a jack right here. and lift up until the weight of the vehicle is on that jack. So this stuff all has tension on it. Every bit of your suspension bolts have tension on it. If you do not do that, when you go to tighten all these down and tighten them to spec, like you should, and the link will be in the description, these are all, 74, 76, I believe is the front one, 76 foot-pounds, 74 foot-pounds, 44 foot-pounds. When you go and tighten all this to spec, and then you go and put your wheel back on and set your car down, everything is tight. And then as soon as you set your car down, everything twists, okay? So you just put unnecessary load on all your bushings, all the things all the time you spent and all this hard work is going to be for naught, because it will inevitably tear down these bushings faster, okay? So it is very important to have a jack stand under your car. I have two as a just in case. So you can put a jack under here to put preload and put some tension on your suspension parts. That way when you go and tighten everything down and you go to put the car back on the ground, it is where it needs to be, okay? It'll help you in the long run. I promise. If you do everything right the first time, you won't have to do it twice as often, okay? So with everything being loose still, I'm going to go ahead and put some preload right here. Put the jack right here underneath this. I'm going to tighten everything down. Like I said, I believe this is 74 foot-pounds. I believe this is 76 foot-pounds. These are pretty low. I can't remember right now. I think it's in the teens foot-pounds. And I believe the ball joint right here is 44 foot-pounds. All right, and just like that, let's see here, everything is installed. I like to put a little blue mark on the bolts I tighten to make sure that everything is good, and I know that I've checked them and done them by the torque specifications. I will say, however, I did misspeak. I misspoke. The front of this, the radius rod bushing, is torqued to 106 foot-pounds. The inner lower control arm is 76, I believe, and the radius rod is 74. Again, I will leave everything in the link in the description, and this is 44. The ball joint, lower control arm ball joint, is 44 foot-pounds. I will leave everything in the description, a link in the description. Also, I want to show you how much tension I have on this. So the jack is under the lower control arm right here, and if I let this down, let's see if I can do this one hand here, just about like that. So I have probably 4 pumps up, and that is all the more I had on there. Another good thing to do while you're here, like I said, the only reason I'm here is because I had a clunk up here, or what I thought was a clunk. So another good reason to have one of these guys. This is a dead blow hammer. So if you can hear, there's sand in here, or some sort of filament or filler inside the head of this hammer. It's always a good idea to just tap on some things, make sure nothing sounds like it is loose. It all should have a pretty good thud. So all this has a pretty good thud. Pretty good thud. Again, it doesn't sound like it's rattling. Okay, so just go through and check everything. See if you can find anything with your dead blow to make sure that you try to hunt down whatever is going to be loose. Like I said, this has a good thud. Sounds solid, right? If either one of these bolts were loose, you could definitely hear it kind of clank around a little bit. So this is a great tool to have in order to hunt down a problem you're chasing with clunking or, a loose bolt somewhere. So it's always a good idea to pick up one of these. I think I got this one at Walmart for maybe $5. I mean, just something like this, it'll do you just fine. So go through and check, but everything is done. I actually already did the driver's side before I started the passenger side, but I wanted to show you guys kind of the process here. So that was it. It's just that easy. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Like I said, I will be putting a link to everything that I've done or found or whatever. If you have a product you're looking to buy for these 04 to 06 GTOs, go to Kollar Racing. I'll leave a link to the website in the description below, as well as all the products I used today. Hopefully I'm going to throw this back on. It is kind of raining outside right now, but hopefully I can throw this back on and take it for a test drive, and hopefully it fixed all my problems. But until next time, see you guys later.